Hi, Jaryd Krause, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And in this episode today, we get to speak to Nicholas Bayerle from the $1 Billion Body. He is rated in the top 21 influencers and also the top 30 under 30 entrepreneur. Now, Nicholas Bayerle from the $1 Billion Body is a genius at helping business owners get their mindset right to have a more fulfilling lifestyle and business rather than stressful and chaotic and hard work. There's a big difference between the two. In this episode, what Nick and I talk about is the difference between starting a business and how hard it is versus buying a business, and why so many successful entrepreneurs and investors are buying businesses and holding onto them, putting them in their portfolio rather than starting them, and the grit and determination of work that is required to actually start a business. We also talk about how to get your mindset right and have healthy habits and rituals throughout the day, and especially at the start of the day, to ensure that you have not just your mindset right, but your body right and your health right, and not be attached to your business. You are not your business, and that can affect so many individuals, not just in their health, but in their business as well. We talk about that at length. We also talk about focusing on the macro versus the micro in our business and in our life, the trajectory, and how important it is to have a good trajectory in both our health and also our business. And we talk about how to have that trajectory with different habits and rituals as well. So this is a very big and powerful episode on personal development and being in the right seat at the right time and doing the right things to ensure you can have a life of fulfillment rather than a crazy life of owning a business and being stressed out. So make sure you listen to this episode if you do want to buy a business, run a business, and be an owner of a business, but have a fulfilling life. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Buying Online Businesses podcast. Very grateful and very lucky. I got a bit of an intro through a mutual friend who jumped on and is working with us now in the community, and also did some work with you, Nicholas. His name's Elon. And it's great to connect even just before we hit the record buttons. It's great to catch up and chat. Crazy stuff going on in the world right now as we record. But everyone, welcome Nicholas Bayerle. Thank you so much for coming on, Nick.
Absolutely, man. It shows the power of that we're really only one connection away from pretty much everyone in the world, maybe two connections away from really anyone. So Elon, thanks for making the introduction, and thank you for creating a platform very to the point as well. Like, I love that you're so direct with exactly what the show name is exactly what you do. I know exactly what you do just by watching and looking at the show name. And I remember when about 10 years ago, I was 60 pounds overweight. I wouldn't have really ever put myself out in business. And if it wasn't for someone reaching out to me and getting a message to me, I would have never really known what was possible. So I just want to say thank you to you for creating a platform where not only can help people find that financial freedom or find an option that works for them in business, but also to bring in stuff like this where we get to really talk about we're people, and people can't run away from health, relationships, business, or finances. So we probably should get pretty good at them. And this is a place where we can really get that message out and have that same transformation that happened to me 10 years ago also happen on this show.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. And let's definitely get into the transformation that you had in a second. Firstly, we were just talking a little bit about business and how freaking hard business is. We really struggle. And I was telling you that a lot of people went down the same route as me, and we got bought and sold into having to start our own online business if we want to make money online and have this lifestyle freedom type thing. When the reality is that it's so damn hard, and I struggled and I failed. I got some off the ground, but I just didn't make money. And so that pushed me to going and thinking, well, hang on, 90% of startups fail. Why don't I go away and skip that 90% failure rate and buy something that's already past that failure rate? It's already ticking. It's got the foundation. It's got a proven track record that something's already selling, which we were talking about before. You're quite similar in that fact that you've had the battles of trying to get something off the ground and trying to sell a product that you didn't know you could sell or could believe in. So tell us a little bit more about what you learned through that period and why you're a believer in buying something that's already got the legs.
Yeah, first off, I apologize for not having as cool of an accent as you. I don't know where people are tuning in from. Maybe hit me up on Instagram, Nicholas Bayerle, and say where you're coming in from. But if you're in America, I just sound like an American, so great. And if you're in Australia, I apologize for not having as cool of an accent. Or, maybe you
Aussies don't care about my accent one bit.
Yeah, so maybe Americans love you and Americans think I'm boring. So no worries. Canada, UK, whatever. But anyway, you sound amazing. So great job.
Thanks, man. Vice versa for me. I think Aussie's just like, just another one of these guys.
Yeah. So for me, the journey was very difficult because I didn't really know. It takes a long time to get things to sell. And for me, I grew up in a household where my dad and my uncle have owned businesses for about 40 years. And throughout that, they have 8-figure retail brands all the way to brick and mortar carpet cleaning businesses, which is what I worked in for a long time. And built a flooring company and things like this that I knew were proven. But a lot of times online, we're kind of having to feel like we have to blaze a new trail, that we have to do something brand new. And typically, if it's not working or it's not being sold already, there's plenty of smart people that are thinking of ideas. If it's not being sold or not working right now, it probably is because it doesn't really work. And it's going to take a lot of convincing and trying to teach people in the market, and very difficult. So for me, I started out in mowing lawns that was very proven when I was 12, but it just never really was something I really wanted to do. And right around 18 years old, I ended up getting a girlfriend. And by 20, I was married. So I was married with a wife now that I was thinking I have to provide for, but I also don't want to be apart from. And that's what really drove me into business. Was like, I know that I don't want to be working at a job all the time and be away from my wife. And so what's the way I can do that? We probably should all go all in on a business. So we went into network marketing because it was the first opportunity we had. And we saw that business, that our income was directly affected by how that business was doing. So that business ended up pretty much going under and we lost everything in a year. I ended up having to go back and clean carpets. And for years, I just struggled with the confidence of, what do I sell? What am I good at? Like, how am I supposed to create a product that's new and great? And I had lost 60 pounds, kept it off. So I thought maybe I should do something around that. That's why I got into network marketing, help people lose weight. So I started saying, okay, I'm going to help people lose body fat, men. And I started struggling with, how do I create the product? Should I go into physical products and supplements, or should I go into digital products and coaching? And I started going into digital products and coaching. And then I had to go over this whole thing in my mind of, am I good enough? Like, are all these people better than me? I'm not as shredded as other people. I didn't lose as much weight as other people. And so again, when you're talking about the 90% of startups fail, and thinking that when you think about the rocket ships, they say that 90% of your fuel is to get out of the Earth's atmosphere. That's what I saw myself going through. And I never really thought it was an option to go out there and maybe buy something that maybe was a supplement company that fit with my expertise, that already was a viable product, already was working very well, but maybe that person was ready to sell because they just love getting something off the ground. And I thought that I was saving money by bootstrapping. That's what I thought.
So that's what we all think, right? I mean, we're just like, we'll do it on a shoestring budget. And
because we got this lottery mindset, right? That like, maybe it'll blow up if I just make that one really good video, or if I just create a better product, then this will work. And so it just turned into, I remember we did $67,000 in sales, maybe our third year. And that basically was, I made $0. And we were able to travel and cover our business expenses,
which is great. So, and I want to highlight, just before you go on, sorry to cut you off, is that some people think that that's not good enough when they see people that are, I made like 6 figures, or I made 100 grand in 6 months, or 600 grand in 6 months. And it's like, probably they've been in business for 15 years and they've got other successful businesses. I think there's a lot behind the scenes people forget. So I just want to say that that's like, what you've achieved there is like absolutely excellent. And you got to travel, you got to live. You may have not put heaps of cash in the bank, but the biggest thing that you got was the experience. And I think people should just pick up on that.
Skill sets. Yeah. And I think too many times we look down on the skill sets. We need a viable product. It's easier if you have something that's already selling, maybe has a few systems in place, has buyers. Yet what I learned more than anything is, what are the skill sets that I can create that will allow me to jump into something new? Like I tested out when my son was born just a few weeks ago. I said, you know what? I'm going to see if my team can take what they do for us, which is website building, funnel building. And while I'm taking a couple weeks off, what if we took on 10 clients? and did an in-house work for them. Basically started a brand new business just on the side real quick for fun. And we made multiple 5 figures, right about in the middle, around $50,000. And this was all within a 10-day period. Yet it would be doing a disservice if I were to say how to do $50,000 in sales with a brand new website building company from scratch from your home, even if you have no time because you just had a kid born.
In 10 days.
That is true. But it was because of the community that I'd built, the trust that I'd built, the success that I'd created. So those are all things to keep in mind. I think that's really smart that you talked about. So really from my side of things, I believe work on the skill sets. Like you said, if you're breaking even, great. That means you're getting free education. Congratulations. That's going to be really, really good for you in the future, and why they should be listening to people like you so that your ceiling can become their floor. Where you're at, all the info, all the problems you've been through, all the money you've invested is now where they're starting. Very, very smart. And also do the math on opportunity cost, which I didn't do. I have a mentor of mine that owns about 13 businesses, and all of them pretty much, he didn't start from scratch. He acquired these different companies, and he is smart that way because he knew that, man, this is going to cost me a lot more money of trial and error to get this thing off the ground than just to take over something that's already working. So do that math. I do that with coaching. I coach a lot of men right now all over the world. And a lot of times I tell them, hey, do the math. If you don't hire me, what's actually going to cost you to not hire me? And so do the same with Jaryd. Be like, okay, if I don't hire him, what's it going to cost me not do it? And just lastly, real quick, my dad, with all the brands they've had and all the companies they've had, we claimed bankruptcy in my family. We had a 40-foot motorhome, 28-foot enclosed trailer. We had a gas pump on our property filling up our vehicles. Like, we were killing it. And because my dad didn't make those small investments or take those pivots when it was needed, and thought, I'm just going to keep doing it the way that I know, hard work, just keep grinding.
Sweat equity.
We claimed bankruptcy in about 2009, I believe. I was pretty young during that time. And what did that cost us? Cost us all of our savings of our family, these things. So, really, when you look at someone like Jaryd or listen to a podcast like this, it doesn't cost you anything. It may take time investment or money investment, but it doesn't cost you anything if it pays you. What I like to say, if it makes you money, it costs you nothing.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things thanks for saying all that. And one of the things to highlight is that not just with me, but anybody that you work with, like if you're buying a business for a couple $100,000 and you pay somebody who's looked at hundreds of businesses or is in this industry and does this all the time, and it's a fraction of the cost, that fraction of the cost could save you tens of thousands of dollars, straight off the bat, if not more. But yeah, back to what you're saying is that your mentor has gone away and, most of the business he has, he's bought these businesses. And that's what I think a lot of people read this Rich Dad, Poor Dad book from Robert Kiyosaki, which I'm sure you probably have too. And they believe like, okay, cool, got to be in business, got to start business. But he actually teaches about buying these businesses as well, and he struggled with his first Velcro wallet business and actually went under. And his rich dad, who is, I'm pretty sure it's Keith Cunnington, was like giving him advice on that at the time, and never, it never ended up going the right way, even with like somebody who was his rich dad. So even with a great mentor to help you start something, it is quite hard. And I'm huge on what we're talking about here is a little bit of a mindset shift for people to get to the stage where like, oh, we need to, it's a viable option to buy something. But I like to stick with that mindset theme because mindset is fundamental when we are in business and when we have life situations, stressful life situations. But particularly in business, that just adds the stress to the top when we have a family, which congratulations to you and your partner for just having a newborn a couple of weeks ago. It adds that pressure and that stress to it. And so how do we deal with some of that? Personally, I have different, routines and rituals or things that I'll stack on and do more of or less of, depending on where I'm at in my life. That can be meditation, eating, surfing to get away, downtime, better sleep, all these types of different things that can help me. But making sure I get my mind right when when I go, oh, well, this month I didn't make as much as last month, or the last 2 months have been down, or last 3 months have been down, and people can get into freak out phase. I like to call it the freak out phase. And my clients have done this and come to me like, oh, I don't know what to do. I've just bought this business and the first month has been bad. And it's normal. It's a normal part of life. It's a normal part of business. How do we deal with that? What are some of the things that you talk about with your clients? Because they're big into it's most of this losing weight and the transformation and the health is mostly mindset.
But everyone has to own a business in the community. That's what I fit with, right? My dad was a business owner. My uncle is a business owner. I don't work with anyone who doesn't own a business,
right?
Just because it's a very different lifestyle. You're not clocking in, clocking out, coming home on Friday going, woohoo, like let's go till Sunday hard, be depressed on Sunday. Yeah. Know exactly how much you're going to make every single month. And those cause different stresses and pressures. And so first off, on the mindset side is our identity is not wrapped up in the things that we do or the success of our business. And typically for at least one business that everyone has, their identity is wrapped up in it because they're a part of it. Whereas if they were to start another one, a second one, they'd feel comfortable sharing their numbers, sharing where it's at, how small it is, because they get their identity from the other business. And so what happens is that when the business is doing well, they feel confident. And when the business isn't doing well, they don't feel confident. But what does that do when you're not feeling confident? When the business isn't doing well, now all of a sudden you're planning for the worst, you're planning to fail, and you're going into scarcity mode. And so one of the things that we have our guys do is find identity not based on the results of the business, but based on where they're going. And a lot of people would say this is fake it till you make it is what
trajectory.
People would say this is.
Yeah.
But for us, we look at it as how can you tap into where you're going to go? So what we take people throughout our events is, and this is kind of this is just the beginning of the foundation. There's other things we do on a day-to-day basis. But if we don't have a vision, it's very difficult to make decisions today based on where you're at today. Because if things are bad today, well, then if you make decisions based on where you're at, they're probably going to be negative. But good business owners make decisions based on where they're going, not necessarily where they're at. And so one of the things we do is we have them lay down or sit up or whatever and get very, very clear on what they want their life and who they are and what they're doing, what it's going to look like in the future. Not 20 years from now, what car they're going to drive, because I don't know if they're going to be flying, floating on the water. I have no clue if they're going to be living on Mars in 20 years. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how do you feel? Are you confident? Are you accomplished? What have you accomplished? Do you care what people think of you? And if you were to actually get to where you want to be in 20 years, who would that be? And when I did this exercise and when we have our guys do it, usually you're very confident in what you do. You're very accomplished. You've already built the business. You don't care what people think about you. And if you were to go back in time, knowing what you know now, 20 years in the future, you wouldn't be afraid of failing either because you already know that you succeeded. And that person has so much confidence. And when I was first getting into business, I was scared. I never thought I was even good enough. It wasn't even if I had a good month, bad month. I just only had bad months. So I was like, how am I supposed to be confident and go out there and sell things if I'm in this state of like feeling like a failure? And when I tapped into this confidence, I started saying, how could I be mentored by my future self? But I actually asked if my future self were to switch places with me, literally come down into the world right now, knowing what he knows, already accomplished it, already confident, doesn't care what people think of him, has an opinion, is a great man. If he were to switch places with me, how would he act? And I was like, man, he would know what he's talking about. He'd be very confident in it. He wouldn't be afraid of failing. And he could be confident even if the business isn't doing good today because he knows where he's going.
Yeah.
And I started doing that. And that's when I started speaking with confidence like I am right now on podcasts. That's when I started speaking with confidence when I was getting on stages. That's when I started speaking with confidence with where our company was going. And all of a sudden, if you write down this quote for everyone out there, if you speak something with enough confidence, enough times, it'll soon become truth. And when you start saying, hey, we're going to be impacting this many people throughout our company, we're going to be reaching, we're going to be the number one product in the industry. And you say that enough times, what ends up happening is there's this effect where people, the normal person doesn't have a vision or a mission in their life. And so when they see someone else who has one, they come into submission, not like a slave, but like they come into submission, meaning they come behind your mission. And why do they do this? Is because even if they don't even know why they're buying, they just want to buy from you because they want to be a part of your company. Because even the person on the bench wins a Super Bowl ring. So even if they're not a part of your company, even if they're not a part of what you do, if you speak something enough times with enough confidence, they'll think it's true, which it is. Like, we're not faking it. Again, do this with your good lens that Jaryd probably teaches you, that you tell the truth. All of a sudden, people want to come behind that mission and vision and even pay you without even exactly knowing why, because they want to be a part of someone and a company that has a vision for where it's going, confidence in where they're going. Because if you accomplish it, they feel like they're a part of it. They feel like they're in the Super Bowl and they're sitting on the bench, but they still get the ring to be able to show off to everyone. I was a part of that company. So tapping into that future self is absolutely 100%. And then the second thing real quick is you cannot focus and control relationships or business. Unfortunately, I wish you could. But if you base your personal confidence off of things that you cannot control, you'll always fail. So if it's, oh, I got to make 10 sales today. And if I don't make 10 sales today, I feel like a loser. Or 100 sales, depending on your product. Then chances are you're most of the time going to feel like a loser. Because typically as business people, we set goals that are really high so that we always have something to chase. So if you're always chasing and always failing, then you're going to have a miserable life and you're going to be in an abusive relationship with yourself, which is not that fun. The other way to do it is, one, you can focus on, if I need to make 10 sales today, then you focus on what are the actions that I think I need to take to be able to make 10 sales, and you focus on the actions. And you take your self-confidence based on the actions that you're doing, the plan of attack, and then you look at the results that you're creating and you figure out, do I need to change my plan? And maybe you go to Jaryd and say, hey, I'm focusing on the plan. You can see that I did the actions every day. I crushed it, but I only made 8 sales every day. So what do I need to change in the plan to get the result? Rather than going, I need to make 10 sales. I need to make 10 sales. Oh, darn, I missed it.
Which isn't in your control. Yeah.
It's not in your control.
Yeah.
But the last thing is that what is the number one thing that we cannot get away from as business owners that is also 100% in our control? And that's our self and our health. That's mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. This is the only area of your life that you physically can't outsource, and nobody can do it for you. Whereas like marketing or helping find a business, these are things that you could pay other people to do. And you can pay for meals, pay for plans, pay for trainers, but no one's going to move for you. No one's going to eat for you. No one's going to sleep for you. And so if that's something that no one else can do for you and you can't get away from it, then this is an area where you can create extreme momentum and confidence, because your brain doesn't know the difference between making $1 billion and accomplishing a workout. Like, it doesn't know the difference. It's just whatever your brain and you place value on. So if you place value on making money, you'll only get fulfillment from making the money. And if you don't care about working out, you'll be like, man, I worked out today, but I'm not making money, so who cares? Yeah. But if you can go back to the basics of, I call them the 5 physical attributes of health. They're the most important ones, and I'm going to put them in order for everyone. Breath, because if you hold your breath for 5 minutes, you'll probably die. Shows you that it's pretty important. Breath is number 1. Hydration's number 2. Number 3 is sleep. Number 4 is nutrition. Number 5 is exercise. They're already doing probably 4 out of 5. They're already breathing, but you hold your breath for 5 minutes, you die. So we know that's important. Hydration. If you don't drink for 3 days, typically people will end up dying. Sleep, people are doing it, but they're probably not doing it right, or have a good bedtime routine, morning routine. Nutrition, they're probably not eating the right amounts or the right types of foods. And then exercise is the last thing. But you can probably go your whole life without exercising and still live, right? Like, people that live the longest mostly walk the most. And so people put this focus on things that don't matter. If you can go back to your daily routine and go, okay, I want to crush it in business, I want to crush it in my relationships, and I want to crush it in health, but you put health first, you're going to gain massive momentum. Go, did I do my breathing exercises this morning? Did I hydrate right off the bat? Did I get good sleep last night? Did I eat a healthy meal? Did I get some exercise in? You can do that right off the bat and be like, I'm dominating at life. Bring on the business, because I'm already accomplishing things that's giving me momentum. Because when we only get value from the work, this is how usually it goes. I know everyone's going through it right now, which is you go to the gym, you check your phone the whole time anyway, you don't get a good workout because you're so focused on just the business, and then you go home and you end up sabotaging eating the wrong foods because you're like, I just need to work harder to make more money and then I'll be happy. And then you end up getting more out of shape. You didn't get a good workout. So now you're mad because you didn't get a good workout at the gym and you didn't make the money that you don't want. And then you go, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm just going to try working a little bit harder. I'm not even going to go to the gym. And then you end up making money and realizing, oh my gosh, I'm not even happy because I'm not even healthy. And then you end up doing this like constant circle because we always forget the pain that we were in. So we get healthy for a little bit and then we're like, you know what? I should work harder, make more money. And then we get unhealthy and then we're like, you know what? I should probably get back in good shape. So instead of making the same problem and mistake over and over again, learn from the mistakes. A wise person learns from other people's mistakes. Go all in on your health, build momentum, focus on what you can control, focus on the actions that produce results, and that will give you mass momentum and shift your mindset.
Yeah, that's amazing. So much to just remember, guys. So hope you got your notebook there. So yeah, thanks so much. You just covered so much there. And like you said, it's wise for people to learn from other people's mistakes. And I've made this blunder, as have you. Like, just to give a bit of context to my blunder that I made in my business is that about 2 years ago, I was pushing really hard in business and just trying to get as much from my business as I could. And I was really tied up with my ego was tied up into my business. Like you'd mentioned before, it's like my business was me, and I'd been through some hardships and I felt those highs and lows in confidence levels. When my business was going good, I was just like, you could notice my energy levels shift. Anyway, I just tried to grow it more and more and more. And to do this, I poured my heart and my soul into my business energetically. And when you do that, it's the worst thing you can do energetically. And what happened about 2 years ago from now is that I just started working more and more and more when I felt that I needed to pick up slack when my business was slacking off. So what I did is I worked more hours, and I just decreased my health and I neglected my health completely. And what happened is I got sick for a certain stage about 2 years ago, and I just pushed through. And what happened is I pushed myself through glandular fever. And I didn't realize until about 18 months later, when my health started declining quicker and quicker, and I went through what glandular fever turns into is called Epstein-Barr virus. And you got, a few different stages. So I went through stage 1, and then stage 2, and then stage 3, and then heavy stage 3. And it was literally the Epstein-Barr virus was all through my body. And I went to a particular health doctor to get rid of this. And I'm back to getting rid of parasites and candida and all this sort of stuff in my body, tracking my sleep, tracking my health. I track my supplements. I test what works and what doesn't work over a three-week period with my body and energy levels. And I'm tracking absolutely everything to make sure that I look after myself, because if I look after myself, that's the foundation on how the business can actually work. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because learn from my mistakes, learn from Nicholas's mistakes. Is you don't want to attach yourself to your business, because you are not your business. That is a separate entity. And the things that you learn is the experience. And you can use that even if the business did fail, like you said, in 10, 20 years, if I lose everything, that's totally fine with me. And I'm sure you're the same. And a lot of people that have been in business for quite a duration of time, is that it doesn't matter if it's the business comes and goes, because more than often that can happen, right? We're not going to be like, some people aren't going to be in business for 10 years. They're not going to be in business for 5 years. And that's okay. It's okay to understand that. I think that's really important that you brought that up.
Yeah, the odds are against you when it comes to the numbers of people that are going to be in business for a long time. And that's why I focus on that. Focus on building things that will last a long time. Your relationships, your skill sets, your network. These are things where you can always go into a new avenue. Or if you're great at sales, or if you're great at copywriting, or you're great at having high income skill sets that you build inside of the business, it gives you a sense of security, because it's now not based on what the market says. These are valuable things. And what you're talking about with the health side is they always say, like, you pay now or you pay later. Right? It's like, whether you want to enjoy life now and invest now you're doing probably blood work, and you're looking at your micronutrients and your hormone levels. And these are all things that we do for our clients, that they fly out, get their blood work done. We customize their plans based on their blood work, their hormone levels, their micronutrient levels. We help them optimize those things, which optimizes their hormones, which optimizes their body. and really just get them back in line where they can be like an athlete again. People think it's their genetic code, or they blame it on their metabolism. And there are definitely things about that, but embrace those things. It's who you are. We can maximize who you are and make it amazing. And for me, like, I was 60 pounds overweight. I was eating terrible food. I was super depressed, down about myself. I would have never put myself out there in business if I didn't first focus on myself, just simply for the self-consciousness, because my body was not representing who I was on the inside. I was an athletic kid. I was someone who loved to see people be out in the sun. I was someone who wasn't overweight and not disciplined, but my body was showing something completely different. And I felt in mass incongruency with my body. And so I didn't know how to change it. So I starved myself, was too scared to go to the gym because I thought you had to be fit to go to the gym. And I was like, I'm not fit, so I can't go. But how do you get fit if you never go to the gym or you never do any exercise? So I just ended up going and making those investments in a personal trainer and a nutritionist. And I really put those investments up front. I started feeling good. I started being able to eat and not starve myself. I started being able to do more activities and work out and feel that power again. And that's when I started saying, like, man, if I can help people with this first and do it now, they can invest now rather than pay, because investments keep paying you, right?
Sure.
When you feel good, you end up like getting more out of everything that you're doing. It doesn't take as much as people think. People think eating healthy is expensive. No, dude, eating unhealthy is expensive. You're doing it with the business. You're projecting, if I do it on my own, it'll cost this much money. If I buy a business, the investment is this much. Now do it with your body. If you invest in healthy food now, what is it going to do to your future? And what are you going to save? You're going to get sick less. You're going to have more productivity. Just think about productivity. Our average client gets 2 hours of productivity per day. Do the math. That's 48-hour work days per year that they get back, where they're not sluggish, brain fog, all of that. So how much do you make a month? And how much do you make in 40 days? And that's just right now. If you were just do it based on money, let's say you make $10,000 a month or $5,000 you pay yourself salary a month, let's say, of US. And that would be like $7,000 that you would make more a year if you just put that towards work with the extra energy and focus that you'd have.
And this is sorry, go on.
70K over 10 years. And you can literally get educated for 1 year on how to be consistent, have accountability, get yourself around better community of healthy people. It's really difficult to be unhealthy if everyone around you, that's what they value. So get better people around you. Start making the investments yourself, because where your money is, your heart is also. I just invested in a new health coach just 4 weeks ago now. I invested in a brand new health coach. This is what I do. But because I wanted something new to spice it up, I put my money so that my heart would follow and my focus would follow. Where your money goes, your attention goes. And so I invested again to have someone keep me accountable, and it just, boom, put me back on the right track. So maybe that's what people need to do. That could be $40. It could be $20,000, depending on where you're at, where that value is. But make an investment in yourself today. Go buy a juice like this that's a wellness shot that has ginger, lemon, and cayenne pepper, and that's $2 or $3 or something, and make that investment go, you know what, I'm worth it. And for so long, I didn't think I was worth investing in. I didn't think that I was worth the extra money. I wanted to pay $30 a month in groceries, or $30 a week in groceries, and eat the bare minimum, because I didn't think I was worth it. And I just started thinking, how can my customers see value in me if I don't see value in me first? How can I expect other people out there to value me in my opinion and value me as a friend if I don't value me as a friend? How can I expect other people out there to do things for me if I don't do things for me?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where real leadership comes in. Be a leader that does it first.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to start doing, investing in myself first.
Yeah, and it's the like what you were saying before, it's the long-term trajectory of like when you're thinking about your mindset, and we're talking about affirmations and stuff like that. You do that with your business, but do it with your body. And the way I like to explain it to people is that you've got the micro and the macro. So many people are focused on like we're in survival mode, and like, oh crap, like what am I going to do? I've got to pay $30 on groceries. But if you change your mindset to knowing like, hey, no, like I am confident and my body deserves it, then you can start paying $60 on groceries and buying organic and all that sort of stuff. And it's the same with, not just your mindset with your health, but your mindset in your business that you talked about before, is that, the fake it, we call it the fake it till you make it type style. And it's so true. Like, I remember that I used to be a plumber. I know that you don't know this, Nicholas, but most people do. They're listening. I used to be a plumber, and I used to ride my moped to work in the rain and in the morning at 5 o'clock, freezing cold, dark. And I used to yell out at the top of my lungs, I travel the world and I make $1,000 every single month from online businesses. At this stage, I had failing online businesses. I tried 2 startups and I failed. I spent so much money, but I was telling myself that I was already in that position. And I believed that I was riding a moped. I put myself in a state that I truly believed that I was riding a moped to the beach to go for a surf in Indonesia or somewhere. So when I first started doing that, did I truly believe that I was in Indonesia with a surfboard driving to the surf instead of going to work? No, of course not. I was faking it for sure. And I did that for so long, into a point where I got, I used to ride to work on my moped and I was making $1,000 every single month. And then I was making 2, and then it kept growing and growing and growing. And people at work didn't believe me until I quit. And, I was at a stage where I was making more money from my plumbing job as a supervisor than, the businesses I earn more money from the businesses that I own. And so I think it's really important to understand the difference between the micro focus and the macro focus in both health and business. We've just covered so much today, Nick, and I greatly appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom and everything that you've achieved and done, and all the help that you do with all the business owners that you work with. It's actually inspiring, and I just want to thank you and very grateful for having you on. So thanks for coming on. Where can people find out more about what you do and how they can get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So they can check out billiondolarbody.com. And then also I do a lot of stuff on Instagram, just kind of showing my life journey, what I do, what wellness shot I'm drinking and what I'm working on, and what I think, it's a fully, like, with the clothes you wear, everything like matters to me. So everything's done there, Nicholas Bayerle. And just real quick to leave people with something, and maybe if people want to send me a DM or an email, because I don't have anything set up for this, I'd love to send them our guideline for our guys. And what you were talking about with really figuring, you were driving your moped and you're like, I'm making $1,000 a month for my business. We really do that as well. We have a BDB ritual. And basically this ritual is a daily ritual to make sure people are on track. And you write down things you're grateful for in your past that maybe were hard to be like, man, these were things that defined me. So you write down you're grateful for those, what you're grateful for in the present, and then actually already say what you're grateful for in the future that haven't happened yet. And it's a way just to set that like excitement up. And then that way, when you're doing your daily tasks, which is the next part, what is your to-dos for the day? What are your top 3 to-dos? What got done yesterday? What didn't get done yesterday? And where do you need support? You fill out these categories, and it all starts with a day of getting focused on, like, you're not focused on the ice cream that you ate, or you're not focused on the fact that you failed in your business. You're focused on, I'm so grateful for the walk-in closet that's the size of my old house. Like, this is amazing. I can't believe, how am I going to fill this thing? Whatever you're into, right?
Yeah.
Which could be so different for other people. I'm so grateful that the waves are pumping today and it hasn't rained, so the water's all clear, but no one's out right now because everyone's working and I get to be out here. This is amazing. And you're grateful for things that haven't happened yet. And it allows you to kind of, you will never, ever achieve something in the natural world outside of you that isn't first dreamed up in your mind. Because what happens in the external world will always happen in the unseen world first. And the unseen world is always going to happen here. Yeah. Your world will never go past or pass up what you can believe here first. If you're believing small, well, then no wonder the results are small. Because you can't create, like when the world was created, when Disney was created, it was only created because someone first saw it and then they created it. So go do that. And I appreciate it so much, man.
Thank you so much, guys. Go away and grab that. Speak to him on Instagram. These are principles that I practice and I've been doing for over a decade now. I've been in the personal development just like you, Nick, and a lot of other people listening as well. Go away and grab that stuff from Nick because it is powerful, even to a point where I share my affirmations with my family. And one time that I I had gone away and traveled for about a year. I came back and had dinner with them, and they were actually sharing before we even started dinner or saying grace. They just went around the table and started sharing what they were grateful for, 2 to 3 things they were grateful for that day. And it's just great practices. So these are things that I share with people, but you have the foundations of it, Nick, and I want people to go away and grab that. Make sure they check it out, because it's the fundamental foundations that we need. So make sure you get that, reach out to him. Thanks again so much for jumping on board. We'll probably have to have another chat soon, because this was absolutely excellent, so valuable. So thanks again, and hope everybody enjoyed it. For those of you who did listen to this and did enjoy it, please do me and Nick a massive favor. Go on, leave us a review and give us feedback to let us know what you actually liked about this and wherever you are in your podcast app, so I can bring more of that awesomeness to the show for you guys. So thanks again, guys. Bye.